Welcome to the Dyslexia Mom Life Podcast, your go-to podcast for dyslexia education and community. As moms, we want the best for our children, and when you're raising a child with dyslexia, that journey comes with unique twists and turns. Each week, we dive into dyslexia topics along with episodes on how to thrive in your dyslexia season as a mom, all with the goal of helping your child and your family thrive. Tune in for conversations that will inspire, inform, and connect you with a community that truly understands. You are not alone. We're in this together. Subscribe now and join in the conversation and community. You got this. Hey friend, I am so glad you're here today. I'm recording this on March the 4th, and as I record this, I think about a good friend of mine who is now in Dubai opening schools, and I can remember when Ethan would say to us, March 4th was such an important day for him, and he would talk about marching forth in our goals and our visions, and we would always get this really, really heartfelt and exciting email every March 4th, and I would think about how we can march forward and march forth on our goals. And so as I think about today's topic that I'm recording for you, I think about that because as we think about what the next steps are for our kiddos, this is the time of the year that we start thinking about how important school transitions are and planning for next year. And yeah, I get it. It's March, but this week for us, we're going to be going to a meeting on Thursday to talk about registering for high school. I don't know how we got here, how we went from starting a brand new school in second grade and trying to remediate our daughter's dyslexia to now walking into the transition of ninth grade after having left a dyslexia school, going to a middle school, the middle school experience, which I could record a whole podcast just on that. But if you're parenting a child with dyslexia, you already know how important it is to be proactive, especially when it comes to school transitions. I mean, whether your child is moving from elementary to middle school, middle to high school, or just transitioning into a new grade with a new teacher, this process can be a little overwhelming. It can take some planning and finesse as you think about it, but don't worry. Today, I'm going to be breaking it down into some simple, actionable steps so you can feel prepared and confident as you navigate this journey with your child and your family. So by the end of the episode, you'll know exactly what to focus on right now as you march forth. You love how I did that? How to plan ahead and what specific questions to ask to set your child up for success next school year. Yes, we're going to plan ahead. So grab your coffee, pop in those earbuds while, I don't know, maybe you fold the laundry or you're waiting car line, and let's just dive in. So let's talk about what to do now to prepare for next school year. It might seem early, but trust me, spring is the perfect time to start planning for the next school year. Here's what you can do now to set the stage for a really smooth transition, or, as smooth as it gets when you're talking about planning for another school year, especially if your kiddo has some anxiety. Those pieces, fall into place as well. So let's start at the beginning. The first thing you should be doing in this spring is, one, reviewing your child's progress. So really taking a look at where is your child academically, looking at teacher feedback, looking at assessments, progress reports, report cards, even just looking at their progress from how were things going academically in July, August, September, whenever you might have started school, to now. How is it looking? What is your child's frustration level with the work? How does it look if you're currently remediating your child? What kind of progress is he or she making? If your child has an IEP or a 504 plan, this is a great time for you to sit down and review those accommodations and services that your child is receiving. Think about, are they working? Do any need to be updated? And yes, sure, they're going to talk to you about that at the school level, but it is always a good idea to review those accommodations. If your child is older and can talk about those with you, asking what's working, what's not working. I know as we think about transitioning into high school, we've already had these conversations a few weeks ago with her directed studies teachers to talk about where are we going, what accommodations are working, what do we want to keep, where do we feel like she has grown out of, so to speak, what does she not currently need. The second piece is really, I talk a lot about relationships, but really talking to the teachers and the individuals that are supporting your child. So you probably got a team of teachers, maybe a case manager, that grade level teacher, that touch point that you have that you've probably been working with throughout the school year. This is a great time to start having those conversations. Many schools have spring conferences, and if those are optional, a lot of times they're optional at schools. I would always go. It is so important to know what is working as it is to what is not working. And if things are working, what a great opportunity to really share those wins with your child. So use this time to talk about progress, but also what will next year look like. If it's a different grade level, obviously, you're going to be talking about what does that academics look like? Are you about to go into an elementary stage where now your child's going to have multiple teachers and maybe your child's only had one teacher? Or maybe you're transitioning into a middle or a high school where the whole curriculum just looks different. Are you now looking at what they call a block schedule where your child's in class longer? And how does that look? Well, here are some questions you could ask, and I'll include these questions on the website too. If you go to Dyslexia Mom Life, on that website, there's a link to the podcast episodes. And when you look for this episode, you'll be able to see it's going to be titled something like Smooth School Transitions, What to Do Now, and How to Plan for Next Year. And so as you're looking for this episode 144, you'll be able to see and grab these questions. So if you're walking or doing laundry or driving, don't worry, I've got you. No need to stop what you're doing. You can go there and pick these questions up after the show. So let's talk about some questions that you could ask. Okay, are you ready? You can ask either of any of these questions or all these questions, whatever works for you. So when you think about talking with the school and with your child's teachers, here are a couple of questions you could think about asking. What are my child's biggest strengths and challenges in the classroom? For you to be able to know if these accommodations are working, you're going to need to know the answer to these questions, especially this one. What are the biggest strengths and challenges in the classroom? Are the current accommodations and interventions effective? What skills should we focus on this summer to help your child transition smoothly? How can I best support my child's learning at home? Are there any upcoming changes in staff or curriculum or support services that may impact my child? Great question. Many schools are shifting the way they're teaching reading. Some are shifting the way they're teaching math. So knowing that ahead of time can give you an opportunity to talk with your child about it. And that way they will get, be a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit more comfortable, I guess, as they go into the school year. There won't be any surprises. Another way that you can think about preparing for next year is really planning for summer learning and skill activity and skill building. You want to definitely have some time for your child to enjoy the summer, but looking into tutoring, summer programs, and even a structured reading time at home can really help your child. And if your child is transitioning to a new school, there might be summer opportunities for a tour or orientation that can help them get familiar with the school environment. I know the last two schools the school we're at now and the previous school we went to for middle school, both of them had I think it was like a middle school academy. It was the week before school started, and they were both optional. We didn't have to participate. But what was so great about it was not only did our daughter get her schedule early, she got to walk that building multiple times with just the kids that were in this program. And so it was really set up for students that were like rising 5th and 6th graders or students that were new to the school. But what a great opportunity to meet teachers, to get to know where the nurse's office is and the clinic nurse, where they check out and check in for school, where they have lunch, all the pieces of where they'll be going. And so when they get there, that's just one less thing they have to stress about because they know where their classes are and they've had the opportunity to get to meet a few people. And that's helpful too, because that first day of school, they already see some people in the hallway that they know or that they've met. And so that can be a helpful transition for them. In addition to that, many times in these programs, they will give them tips about how to best study or to organize their time. Really, those executive functioning pieces, which can be so helpful if your child knows those pieces ahead of time. So here are some other questions that you could ask, though, in regards to the summer learning. Are there any summer programs or recommended resources to reinforce learning? Can we arrange a visit or meet with next year's teachers before school starts? So, is there anything that you need to do ahead of time, and you know your child best to know how much of a support they need in this area? All right. So now we're going to talk about what steps we need to take. Since we've talked about the steps to assess where your child is, let's now talk about how to actually plan ahead for next year. So as you assess where your child is currently, looking at the progress, talking to teachers, thinking about any summer learning and skill building, now we're going to transition over to talking about how to actually plan for next school year. So one is advocating for classroom placement. If your child thrives in a particular teaching style, don't be afraid to advocate for a teacher who understands dyslexia. Talk to your school about class placements or supports that can be in place before school even starts. Ask questions like, are there teachers in the next grade with experience working with students with dyslexia? How are classroom placements determined, and can I provide input? I love that one because it's not demanding, it's not threatening, it's just more of that partnership language. How are classroom placements determined, and can I provide some input? Can my child be placed with peers they work well with to foster confidence? Another great question that really opens the door for that collaboration and that partnership. Another piece that's so important as you plan for next year is to update any IEP or 504 plan your child may have. Many times there'll be an end of the year or annual review, and that gives you the opportunity to see what things are working and any needed adjustments that may need to be made. If your child is transitioning to a new school, a middle or a high school, or just a brand new school, it's important that these accommodations transfer smoothly. So here are a few questions that you could ask at that meeting. How will my child's support services continue next year? What new challenges might arise with the transition, and how can we plan for them? Will my child's accommodations remain the same, or should we adjust them for the new school setting? Who will be my main point of contact at the new school? That particular question has come up a lot for moms, especially the moms that reach out to me, and we have these conversations about, I have this concern. It's usually an academic concern of asking around an assignment or something like that. And it's so confusing. Do I reach out to that math teacher? Do I reach out to the counselor? Do I reach out to my point of contact for accommodations? And so just having that conversation with the school ahead of time really helps to have clarity for you as to who is my point of contact. And it doesn't cause confusion or make people feel like you're going around them either. Another important piece to be thinking about when you're planning for next school year, the third one, is to teach self-advocacy skills. So as your child gets older, really encourage them to practice self-advocacy. And this really is a skill building situation. It is not something that they're going to do on day one, and really depending on your child and their level of comfort. Anxiety and things like that can also play a role in this as well. But help them learn how to ask for help, how to use those accommodations and communicate with their teachers. And if that communication needs to be an email at night, if it needs to be first thing in the morning before other students get there, however that looks. Some students are more comfortable to raise their hand and say, I have an accommodation for that. Or just knowing ahead of time, when I take a test, my test is going to be at the learning lab, right? Or however that might look. So here are some things you can discuss with your child. Do you know how to explain your dyslexia to a new teacher? What strategies help you when you're struggling in class? How do you feel about asking for help, and what would make it easier for you? So it really opens the door to that communication, that deeper understanding of what your child needs. Don't make assumptions. Ask them, what do you need, and how can you let teachers and others know what you need? And I'm going to say that is a work in progress at our household. So, but better as we're getting ready for high school. But it definitely is a skill that takes time. Many times our dyslexic kiddos, they don't want to shine any light on them and that they're needing anything. They would rather just kind of push through, and sometimes that frustration level obviously goes up. And so we really want our children to have those self-advocacy skills. And the fourth one is getting organized for a strong start. So if there's anything your child needs ahead of time, whether that's some type of assisted technology, a resource they might need, Getting those supplies and things ahead of time is helpful, which I'm sure you already do that in the summers. Setting up some type of calendar system with key dates like back to schools, IEP meetings, assessment dates, things that won't sneak up on you so that you have those key dates in your calendar. I just sit down and put all the dates. I absolutely start with vacation time first, though. What are the days my kiddo is going to be out of school so that we can plan some fun activities around those times or some time that we can get away as a family? Those go on the calendar first, as I'm sure they do for you. And then these special events that happen, sometimes they're monthly events or things that pop on your calendar. I try to put as many of those key dates ahead of time for me and my family. So here are some questions when you're thinking about organizing and getting organized for a strong start. Are there assistive technology tools available for my child next school year? That could be a question you ask. Can we schedule an early meeting with the new teacher to discuss my child's needs? So if your child starts using things like Grammarly at school, if they have Learning Ally where they're using that for audiobooks, things of that nature, things that they may be needing to learn how to use ahead of time, it's good to have those conversations. So some final tips of encouragement. I know transitions can feel overwhelming, but remember, you are your child's best advocate. With a little preparation now, you'll make next school year so much easier for both of you. If you're feeling uncertain, you are not alone. Reach out to other moms in our Dyslexia Mom Life community. You can connect with them through our Facebook group. Connect with your child's school team and trust that you are doing an amazing job. So, before we wrap up, here is the quick list of action items for you. 1, reviewing your child's progress and any IEP or 504 plans. 2, meet with teachers before the end of the year and ask those key questions I shared. 3, plan for summer learning and visit the new school if possible. 4, advocate for classroom placement and needed accommodations. 5, teach your child self-advocacy skills. And 6, get organized with these key dates, supplies, assistive technology, really thinking ahead of time as to what you need ahead of time to kick off to a successful start. So that's it for today's episode. If you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. It really helps more moms find us and find the show. And if you need extra support planning for your child's transition, please reach out to us. DyslexiaMomLife.com is where you can find all the things. And until next time, keep showing up, keep advocating, and remember, you are not alone on this journey. You got this.